Today, what I want to talk about is how to stay safe when you are planning an RV journey. Whether you're full-time or a weekend warrior or a part-time full-timer, which means you're camping 6 months out of the year and going to your home base for the rest of the time. So staying safe while RVing is critical to ensure a pleasant and worry-free journey. Here are some practical tips that Cindy and I try to implement on all of our RV trips, and I thought I'd share them with you. So step number one is plan ahead. And we do this by researching our location, we check local laws, and we stay weather aware. So we start off with researching the location. Let's say we decide we want to go to Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. So we start checking reviews of local campgrounds. We may get on a few forums on Facebook and ask if people are familiar with a good, safe place to camp. And then we will narrow our selection down to a few spots. We may even check All Stays or Campendium or RV Parky or some of those for some guidance on what's available in the area. And then once we pick 2 or 3 campgrounds, we will go to Google reviews, check the reviews on the specific site for that campground. Like if it's a KOA, KOA has a whole list on reviews through their corporate site and that sort of stuff. So we check to see if anybody's had trouble at the location. I know that one time we did not do this, and we were in Texas at, I think it was Lake Ray Roberts. There was a state park there. And we had someone steal our cooler and one of our kids' bicycles. This was back in the 90s. And that's when we decided we have to really start paying attention. So we check the reviews. We check online. A lot of these campgrounds will have pages on Facebook. Like this park we manage, Midpoint I-95 RV Park in Sellers, South Carolina. We have a Facebook page. We check what people say about that, the pictures they post and that sort of stuff. And then we check the local laws as we plan our route. So a lot of cities and stuff won't allow you to boondock. Some of the locations we want to go to are a 2-day drive, and we may want to boondock in between. And so we got to make sure that we're able to find a place, if we don't want to stay in a campground, that's safe to boondock. And there's sites like Campendium and All Stays that review specific boondocking sites or locations and give you kind of the law of the land for that area. And then we try to stay weather aware. I use the Weather Channel. They've got a good app, and I think it's called the Weather Bug. They have a good app, and I will check those and see if there's anything I need to be aware of in the area. I know one time we were staying at Myrtle Beach, and I was not keeping aware of this, and they had a hurricane blow in. And we did not know it was going to affect that part of the country because I wasn't following it. And we ended up having to evacuate at 2 o'clock in the morning. So number 2 is maintain your RV. If you don't have a well-maintained RV, then your chance of getting in an unsafe situation increases. So you need to, first thing before you leave, and really before any travel day, you need to check your tire pressures. You need to check your tires for cracks, cuts, screws, nails, that sort of stuff. You need to check your brakes. Just do a little roll check to make sure that the brakes are working properly. One of you stay inside your tow vehicle or your RV to work the lights, and have your spouse or friend or travel companion to go outside and make sure your headlights are working, your tail lights are working, brakes, blinkers, hazard lights. And also, not only on your tow vehicle or your motorhome, but if you're towing a car or a trailer behind you, all those things need to work on those vehicles too. You need to have an emergency kit on board. So I make sure I have flashlights in case we get stranded at night. Extra drinking water. I make sure we have a well-stocked first aid kit. All those things are important in case something happens. You have to be prepared. And then inside your camper, you have a carbon monoxide detector and a fire alarm or smoke detector. You need to make sure the batteries are good in those. The carbon monoxide is normally wired in to your 12-volt system on your RV, but ours went off at 2 o'clock in the morning. It starts with a slow beep, and then as it gets bad, the beeping is incessant. So they normally have a lifespan of 4 to 6 years. So we just changed ours out in our motorhome last year at 6 years. It had not gone out yet, but they're 40 bucks. Changed it out, and I know we're protected. Number 3 is security measures. Make sure that you lock all your doors and your windows. And I take that one step further. On our motorhome, every time we leave, we lock up. But I make sure that I have a key hidden outside somewhere, so that in case we inadvertently lock ourselves out, that we have the ability to get in without paying a locksmith. So I won't tell you where it is, but I've got a magnetic case, and it can be buried on your site, put in your screen room, attached to your tow vehicle, attached to your camper or RV. But it's important to not only be sure other people can't get in while you're camping, but if you have an emergency, you can get in if you get locked out. Motion lights and cameras. We keep low light LED string lights on at night on our campsite. They're low enough to allow us to look out the window to see if there's anybody on our site before we go out, and also that they don't hinder someone else's enjoyment. It's nothing worse than having a neighbor with bright lights that is destroying your camping atmosphere. Then be discreet. You know, we live full-time in our motorhome. We use Amazon to get stuff that we can't get in our local stores. We try to always camp in small town America. And so we are having to go to far away if we want to buy stuff like Best Buy, like a new TV or something. So we use Amazon. So we make sure that we keep track of the delivery schedule. We make sure we're at the camper when items are going to be delivered, and then we immediately discard the box. I had to replace the TV last year in our motorhome because it got old and broke. I ordered a new 46-inch Vizio TV for the living room. I immediately, once I replaced it, I threw the box in the dumpster along with the old TV. You don't want to advertise that you've got brand new expensive stuff. It's just inviting a thief. Number 4 is to stay connected with friends and family. So we use Waze to traverse our way around the country, as I use it as a backup GPS. Our primary GPS is a Trucker Garmin, but we use Waze for several different reasons. Number 1 is it keeps us up to date on local traffic changes. It keeps us up to date on road construction, and depending on where you are, lots of times it'll keep you up to date on traffic jams, accidents, and that sort of stuff. We use it to share our route. I will send a link to a family member that basically they can follow us going down the road. So if something happens and all of a sudden we quit moving and they can't get in contact with us, they can check Waze and see the last location we were in. We also have Life 360, and we have a family group on Life 360, and the family can share location, and we're able to check to see where everybody is. We also will put together kind of like an itinerary. We have a family text message group where I can say, put in the text group, hey, we're leaving Sellers, South Carolina, headed for Blairsville, Georgia in the morning. So that way our family knows we're traveling and where we're going. Emergency contact information. We keep a list of emergency contacts nearby in case something happens and we need to call somebody. But we also have our phones set up with, we don't lock our phones, number one. So if we get in a wreck, somebody can get our phone, and if we're incapacitated, they can go to our favorites. And in our favorites, I'll have it listed, you know, Marianne - mom, Bob - dad, Davis - son, Harper - son, and on and on. And that way, if they wanted to get a hold of a family member because we can't do it, it's readily available for people. Mobility connection is the last part of that. Is we use Verizon cell phones. Now there's a lot of smaller carriers that offer cell phone packages at a better price, but we use Verizon because they have, as far as I can tell, the largest network across America, and we are less likely to be in a situation where we don't have phone service. Number 5, be aware of your surroundings. You need to avoid isolated areas. When we're boondocking, we are not boondocking down some deserted country road. We're boondocking in Cracker Barrel parking lot, Walmart parking lot, a winery that's part of like Harvest Host or something. And we always try to park in a well-lit area of that parking lot, or available parking for boondocking at any given business. We try to stay in a well-lit area that we're easily visible, and that way people will not be as apt to lurk or have the opportunity to plan bad things for you. You know, you need to trust your instincts. If you're in an area that you just don't feel good about, we were going through Tuscumbia, Alabama one time, and we stopped at a Walmart parking lot. It looked a little sketchy. I was exhausted. Cindy relented and said, yeah, we'll stay here tonight. So we parked underneath a street light in the top part of the parking lot. There was some sketchy apartments next door, and at about 10 o'clock at night, we heard gunshots. We cranked up and we drove off. I should have never parked there. I should have trusted my instincts. I encourage you to do that. Last part of this one is stay alert. You need to be mindful of unusual activity that's occurring around your RV. We were down in Mobile, Alabama. Seems to be a lot of things happening to us in Alabama. We were down in Mobile, Alabama, and a group of cars parked on the back side of our RV. Looked like kids out there smoking and drinking. but we did not feel like that was a situation we should be in. So we cranked up the motorhome, drove off, went down the road a little bit further, found, I think it was a Costco, or was it a Sam's Club? Anyway, we parked there for the night and did not have any issues. So number 6 is going to be health and hygiene. And you're going, Alec, what does that have to do with my safety? Well, a lot. You need to make sure that your water system on your RV is clean. We have a 60-gallon freshwater holding tank. I'm usually rolling down the road with 20 to 30 gallons of water for us to drink, or for us to use to take a quick shower, or for whatever. So I make sure that about every 6 months to a year that I put some Clorox in my water tank, slosh it around, kill any bacteria. But we also filter our water before we drink it with a Berkey that we keep on the counter. So that's important. You need to make sure that you have a good supply of non-perishable food. We keep a good number of canned meats, canned vegetables, and that sort of stuff in the camper. That way when we're traveling, if we're in a location that you know, we don't really feel good about getting out of the camper, there's nowhere else to camp, to go get something to eat, we've got food on hand, we've got propane on hand to make sure that we're able to cook said food. Or what if you break down the side of the highway? I talked to a couple not long ago that was on the side of the highway for 6 hours. There was nowhere nearby. They were waiting on tow truck. Tow truck took forever. And so they had to make sure they had water to drink, clean water, and food to eat. That was covered. Health insurance. I keep a copy of our health insurance with us, just a card. And I also make sure before we leave that our health insurance is covered in that state. Luckily, we have Blue Cross Blue Shield that I got through my retirement from the PD, and it's in every state. It is good. However, you need to also make sure that you know where the hospitals are in the location that you're going to camp. We were camping when our children were younger. My son got attacked by a German Shepherd, needed 13 stitches. That's not the time to try to figure out where the hospital's at. You need to know that before you get to where you're going. Number 7, safety on the road. You need to make sure that you drive carefully. You obey all traffic control devices and speed limits. You need to make sure that you understand that your RV is a lot larger than most vehicles on the road. It takes you longer to stop, takes you longer to get up to speed, and you need more room when you're turning and parking. You need to be aware of your body when you're traveling. If you start to get tired, you need to find a place to get rest, be it a rest area on the interstate where you can stay for a couple hours, get a nap, or if you need to finish for the day, hopefully your driving partner is able to get on All Stays or RV Parky or one of those sites to find you a safe, convenient place to get off the road to get some rest. You need to have a backup plan. What are you going to do if you have a breakdown while you're on the road? Well, I am not a Camping World fan. And Good Sam's is owned by Camping World. And we've tried other roadside assistance programs. And believe it or not, Good Sam's has been the most convenient that we have found. I make sure before we get on the road that my plan is paid and up to date, and that I know where the card is so I'm able to get to the 800 number and our membership number when needed. Number 8, connect to RV communities by joining online groups like iOverlander, Campendium, RV Village, Facebook groups, and that sort of stuff. You can get recommendations from these people of places to go. You can read their reviews. You can also get to know people where you're camping. We like to stay 3 to 6 months in any given location because that way we can get to know some locals and we can be tourists but live like we're local. Also, they can give you recommendations if you need a tire shop or medical attention or anything like that. Get to know the locals when you get there. So anyway, I hope that you found this information helpful, and I pray that you don't ever need to use any of the recommendations in a situation that puts you in danger. Just remember, if you plan and prepare, your trip can be much more enjoyable. Until next time, stay safe on the road.